Hello! Hi everybody! We're getting ready to start Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail, episode 4. Welcome to our kitchen. Just realized that my production guy, who's also my husband, left the dryer on, so I apologize for the noise, but it's too late now. There's nothing we can do. I'm getting ready to cook, and he's behind the camera. So when you hear it ding later, you'll know that we've got some fresh laundry to fold. But anyway, welcome to Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail, episode 4. We are getting ready for Mother's Day. And it's a very different Mother's Day than we have ever experienced. We talk a lot on our show, Jared and Katie in the Morning, on 107.5 KZL, that it's like the first time where Mother's Day isn't everywhere you turn. Mother's Day advertising, Mother's Day promotions. It's one of my co-hosts, Jared, references, he says that this Mother's Day is very much like Father's Day. I don't buy the comparison. Mrs. Chris, thank you so much. Mrs. Chris just stuffed the dryer. Thank you. She saved the day, as she always does. Mrs. Chris, by the way, our angel, the woman who watches our children, is upstairs with the kids, keeping them quiet. Although, odds are good that they're probably going to join us downstairs to crush tomatoes. They heard that that was part of the recipe today, and Nora asked if she could crush some tomatoes. Of course, it's tactile. She wants to crush some things. She's always loved it. So we'll see if they'll join us a little bit later. But anyway, it's Mother's Day, and you might be thinking to yourself, what do? I can't go out and buy things, and I can't take my mom out for a nice brunch or lunch or dinner or whatever. I got you. We're good. Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail, episode 4, brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market. Sprouts, by the way, where I got all of the ingredients for everything that we're making today. Easy to find. Sprouts is awesome because it's healthy food for a great price. They also have a great selection of vitamins and supplements. We go to Sprouts all the time for everything. And the cocktail portion of Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail, brought to you by Jolo Winery and Vineyards. Today, we're drinking their Golden Hallows. We're also going to be cooking with their Golden Hallows. It's light, it's crisp, it's refreshing, it's perfect for a meal that involves fish, which we are cooking with today. I don't know if you can see this, but some fresh cod. And so anyway, this is light and fresh and crisp, and it's great. So that's what we're going to be drinking and what we're going to be cooking with. As always, I encourage you to please leave some comments. Ben, the production guy, is going to be looking through your comments and sharing any questions or comments. I think my family is tuning in today. They've already been all up in the text messages.
Yeah. As Molly said, she earned this Mother's Day harder than any Mother's Days in the past.
Thank you. I'm going to cheers my own self. Jolo, thank you. So I'm pouring a glass for me. And I'll pour a glass for my production guy, even though it's Mother's Day, whatever. We're all about giving, aren't we, as mothers? All right, here you are. And I gotta save some for my recipe. Here you are, Benjamin. All right, so, cheers. Cheers. That's fantastic. Good for drinking, great for cooking. So good. All right, so on the menu today, a very easy, something that you could be making for your own mother. It is cod braised in a white wine and tomato and basil ragu stew. It's kind of like an in-between, because what we're serving this with is some crusty bread. That's what we decided to serve it with the first time I made this recipe. But also, I think it would be great over some rice or maybe some pasta or with a fresh vegetable on the side. The choice is yours. I naturally go for carbs. So we're going to be toasting up some of this bread at the very end and dipping it into the tomato and the basil, and it's so good. All right, so let's get started. I do have my induction burner, and I'm going to set it, again, getting comfortable with using this thing. So if at any time I say a curse word, or if any time I look like I don't know what I'm doing, it's because I don't. I'm learning how to use this, because otherwise, if I were cooking on the stovetop, you'd be staring at my back, and nobody wants to see that. All right, so let's get a low fry going. Let's clear this off. Low fry and action. All right, so in our pot, we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil. And Ben, feel free to share any comments or questions along the way. What does EO mean when it's beeping at me like that?
I have no idea.
This isn't off to a great start.
Have you used that pan before?
No.
That might not be a...
This doesn't work with the induction burner?
I don't know.
Well, how did we not test this beforehand? Seriously?
So you had to get another one out with the...
We'll preserve that wine.
Get one of the stainless steels out.
Okay. Pardon us, everyone. Will this work?
Yes.
Okay, great. It's the joys of Facebook Live. All right, already. Clear that off. Guess I'll just use that pot with olive oil for something else later on.
Kids' dinner.
It's okay. It's just a minor setback. It's not that big of a deal. You don't see this in cooking shows, do you? The reason. All right. We'll put this over here. Hey, by the way, before we get started, did you notice that we're celebrating Mother's Day right here with some beautiful flowers and arts and crafts for my children? The beautiful card from Mrs. Chris, and also my apron. All right. Let's try this again. Hey! At least for now.
Yes.
Okay, so let's put some olive oil. Really?
What's it doing now?
It's saying EO. What does that mean, Ben?
I don't know, honey. It should work on that.
Mind us. It's just Facebook Live. It's not a big deal. You know, this happened to Vivian Howard the other day. You know that I love her.
Why don't you unplug it and plug it back in? That always helps, right? Unplug it, plug it back in?
Yes. My,
Mom, I heard you.
and then our kids are in the kitchen.
Okay.
Okay.
I heard you guys.
Yeah,
So-
I know. Upstairs, buddy.
Bye, bud. So, if you don't know, I love Vivian Howard. She's a chef out of
Let me see the pot. Pan.
Eastern North Carolina, who, by the way, from Kinston, I really idolize her a lot, and she has a couple restaurants now. She has a cookbook. I've met her twice. I cried both times because I was pregnant both times. Is it not going to work?
Get one of the other ones that have they're more like the straight up and down sides. The ones that, yeah. Is that big enough, or do you need
Yeah,
a bigger
this
one?
will be big enough.
Okay. I know that one has.
Vivian Howard, anyway, is, I want to call her my mentor, but she's not because she doesn't really even know that I exist. But the other day she was trying to film something for her television show, and there we are. And they had a problem with the filming, and her whole Facebook Live production that she was doing had to be postponed to the next day, so I don't feel
We keep it up, we're gonna be there.
Third time's a charm! Where is my wine? I don't see this happening to Paula Deen or to any of the other chefs that I love. Alright, on a medium heat, let's get some olive oil in there. And we're going to get some green onions. Now, Mrs. Chris and I were just having a very big discussion, which, by the way, these are the things that I enjoy talking about the difference between green onions and scallions and chives and green onions, spring onions. Yeah, anyway, apparently the difference is that it's the size of the bulb and when the onion is harvested, like how old the onion is what you call it. So I think this is a scallion, technically, although in the grocery store I think they're all marketed as green onions. There's scallions, then green onions, then spring onions, and spring onions are the ones with the big bulbs. So we've got some green onions in there. We're going to get those going. We're also going to put a little bit of garlic in there, and I'm just going to get this.
So,
Our kids are probably 1 second away from joining us. Okay, get some garlic going. And then, interestingly, we're going to also put some red pepper flakes, just a little, because I'm hoping that the kids will want to eat it, although if I had my way, I'd be eating a lot of them. All right, so some red pepper flakes. the joys of Facebook Live. Okay, and so then, now that that's kind of going and sauteing and getting nice and brown, well, saute, we're going to add 1 pint of cherry tomatoes. And really the idea here with the cherry tomatoes is that we're going to blister them. And I gotta be honest, I don't dislike a lot of things. Blistered or warmed cherry tomatoes, until recently, was on my list of things that I found disgusting. I don't know if it was the texture, I don't know if it was the fact that you were biting into something warm, that it popped, I don't know. I'm not sure what it was, but I didn't care for it. That's changed recently. Now I'm enjoying more warm tomatoes, and this is a really great recipe because you're going to be braising the cod in here. Hello. Hi. Can you say hello to Facebook world?
Hi.
Hi.
My hands are clean.
Oh, good. Did you wash them? Okay, her hands are clean. All right. What do you? I don't know what you're trying to say to me. Oh, the knife. Good call, production guy. All right, so our cherry tomatoes are blistering, or at least they're cooking down a little bit. So we've got that going for us. And then the kids have joined me because this is going to be their favorite part. So while these are cooking down, I'm going to put them to work. All right, you guys, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, we are going to take some, and this is just a can of peeled tomatoes. And when we were talking about what kind of tomatoes to use, Ben said, well, I always hear on the, like for fancy recipes that they use the San Marzano tomatoes. And I said, bring those out. It's Mother's Day. Those are the ones we're using.
What are you making?
So, all right, you're going to help me in just 1 second too. Nora, your hands are clean. I want you to take these whole tomatoes,
Okay.
and I want you to squish, squish, squish them with your hands, okay? Can you squish them for me? Okay.
What are you making?
All right, and while they're doing that, God, I'm making some cod. It's fish. You gonna try it? Sit.
Oh.
Hey, Henry, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you got that, bud? You need
We
help?
have some spaghetti-os or something for them, I'm sure.
I can help.
All right, so these tomatoes are cooking down. Nora, you're doing a good job.
Hey, bud, you got
I got you.
Hey, Katie,
I feel like this episode is really just derailed fast. All right, let's do another one. Okay, don't touch anything, please. All right, and then there's we're squishing some tomatoes. We've got this going. If I could chug my bottle of wine right now, I probably would. Fish. All right, so we're gonna take some of our Jolo Winery and Vineyards Golden Hallows, and we're gonna just pour it into the pan. Why pour the rest of it? Actually, I would never do that because I need to save some more for myself. Put it in there. All right, and so now we're gonna cook this down. I would say about a quarter to a half of a cup.
Mom, did you catch these at the fish pond?
I catched them at the fish pond. I did. Now we're gonna eat them. Got them at Sprouts.
How did you
I got the cod at Sprouts. Okay, so this is gonna cook down. Nora's doing a good job of squishing the tomatoes.
Mom, what are these?
Those are beans. We're gonna be using those in a little bit. While this is all cooking and all hell is breaking loose. Yes, I said that in front of my kids. Let me tell you how this recipe came to be. So the other day, because we're not going to the grocery store as often, we're kind of doing things, all at once. We had some frozen cod in the freezer. And I thought, well, we have some things that we need to use up in the refrigerator. We had some green onions. We had some cherry tomatoes, just like this, that I quartered.
And was the fish big or small?
It was a big fish, honey.
Whoa!
Yeah. And it had some garlic and onions and like those sorts of things that were just hanging around. And I just threw it together. So this really truly is a recipe that we use what we had on hand, and it turned out to be delicious. And that's where the bread also came from, the bread idea, because it made such a delicious ragu or a delicious stew that it was perfect for taking the bread and dipping it in there. It was fantastic.
Right here.
Like I said, it would be equally as delicious over some rice.
Fantastic doing this tomato special.
So in our pan, we have the green onions. we have the garlic, we have some crushed red peppers, we have the blistered cherry tomatoes, and Nora is almost finished squishing the peeled tomatoes, which we're going to add then to this. We added some wine in there. Then we're going to add the tomatoes. I have a little bit more juice than I need from the tomatoes, so we're going to kind of hold back on that. Are y'all finished?
Yep.
You got it all?
Yep.
All right.
And messy hands.
And messy hands. Okay, I want you to go wash them. Thank you for your help.
Look at my messy, salty hands.
Okay,
I love you.
don't rub it on your
Okay,
rub it on
bye.
your apron.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to take the crushed tomatoes with our hands, and we're going to add those into the ragu.
Go to Nora's store.
Look, my collar turned.
I'm really glad that you're joining me for all of this because it's real life, man. This is how it goes. Anybody who has children knows that this is what it's like to
Are we
cook.
adding the
your family.
beans?
We're going to add the beans. You want to add the beans in just a few minutes, okay?
Yeah.
All right, hang tight. So we've just mixed in the crushed tomatoes, and we're gonna get that all incorporated, and we're gonna let that cook down. It smells really good in here.
Plants.
Thanks, that's basil. You know we're growing the basil outside? Yeah, we're gonna add that to it. Okay?
What else we gonna add?
We're gonna add some beans. We're gonna add some spinach. I happen to think that also in this recipe that some Kalamata olives would be fantastic, which I have right here. My husband says,
Now can we
but I think it
add
would be
the
great.
beans?
not yet, not yet. All right, and to this, because we've added tomatoes that we've crushed ourselves, there's no salt. So we're gonna have to really adjust the seasoning.
Actually, I'm done.
You're finished? Okay, bye. Thanks for joining us.
Does Nora still have her apron on?
Does anybody have anything to say about the chaos?
Sorry, I was. I was.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
My mom was trying to call too.
we also are, so I said we're gonna have to season, right? So I have some salt, and again, this is something that went as you go along, taste test, so that you are in control of your seasonings. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of Himalayan salt for right now. I can add more later, I just don't wanna over season. I'm gonna add some black pepper. And I'm also going to add, and this is something that you probably already have in your pantry. If you don't, I'll tell you some things that you can add. I have about a tablespoon and a half of some Italian seasoning. And this Italian seasoning has some parsley, some oregano, some basil. There's a little bit of salt in here. There's also some sun-dried tomatoes in here. Use whatever Italian seasoning you have. If you have parsley by itself, add some oregano, add some. We're gonna add some fresh basil, but if you have some dried basil, we're really just trying to build this ragu. So I'm gonna get that in there right now and let all the flavors come together, marry, if you will. And as you can see, these are all ingredients that you probably have in your pantry. We do have cod. When I was trying to decide what to make for the Mother's Day episode, I took to my Facebook page and I asked, would you rather see muffins for mom, or like strawberry muffins since strawberries are in season, or would you rather see cod? And the reason I asked is because something about the word cod to me doesn't sound very romantic. And maybe it's because on our radio show we reference codpiece. I don't know. But cod, it just doesn't sound appetizing. But the truth of the matter is, it is. It's very good. A white fish that flakes when it, is very flaky, very light, very delicate. Does, as my husband pointed out, has a fishy smell to it. But I also think that it takes on whatever it is that you're cooking. And I chose to braise as opposed to pan-sear the cod, because braising to me is much more forgiving. It's very easy easy to mess up some, you know, when you're pan searing some fish, it's very easy to overdo it or to burn it. When you're braising, it's cooking in the liquid, and to me, just a very forgiving thing. So that's what we're doing. All right, now that the sauce is coming together, we're gonna add,
A bunch
I
of
would
spinach.
say, yeah, a lot of spinach that's gonna melt down to, or wilt down to like this amount of spinach. So this is probably about 2 to 2.5 cups of spinach, but let's go ahead and get that in the sauce and let that cook down. And then we're going to season our fish with some salt and pepper, our cod, and we're gonna nestle this fish into the ragu and just let it cook down. We're gonna add some cannellini beans, which is a very fancy way of saying white kidney beans. You could use whatever beans you have.
Or no beans,
Or no
if you're going to do
beans,
it over
yeah.
rice or do
If
it
you're gonna
over
do it over, that's a good point.
rice or over
Yeah.
pasta or something like that.
We just, again, when this whole recipe came together, it was using what we had, and beans sounded like a good idea. We did have some bread that we were trying to use too, so we thought, well, we'll just make it a one-pot meal. What you got over there, Ben? I mean, production guy.
Leanne asking about substituting cod for chicken. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, I think
Any kind of protein. I was thinking that fish would be delicious in here. Or I'm sorry, shrimp. We're making fish, but shrimp would be delicious in here. You're braising it, you're cooking it in a liquid on a low-ish heat and just letting it get nice and soft and tender. So I think any protein, beef probably not, but pork would be delicious. Shrimp, scallops maybe. I'm a little bit iffy about cooking scallops myself. I just feel like they're so easy to mess up. Although braising, very forgiving. All right, so now we have, the spinach has wilted down pretty big time. We're going to add in our cannellini beans, which again
he's
are
going to be
just
heartbroken.
white kidney beans. I know. Well, he's not down here
I know.
anymore. So
I know.
he had a shot.
Yeah.
So let's add those in. Do it the cooking show way. Okay, let those incorporate for just a minute. We got off to a pretty wild and crazy start, that's for sure. Never know what's going to happen in this kitchen.
I can't wait.
That was for all of you people who were like, in the very beginning, the first couple of episodes, everyone was like, how's your kitchen so quiet? And we don't get to cook in peace. Neither do we. We just happened to have Mrs. Chris, who volunteered to come over and occupy the children. So we got lucky until today. All right, so we're going to, this is our cod, and I've cut it up into, this is a pound of cod, and this is fresh, it's not frozen. Although the first time I made this recipe, it was frozen, so I just nestled it right on in the liquid, covered it, and cooked it to 130 degrees. So I can't give you a time on this. I just want you to make sure that it cooks to 130 degrees so you can make sure that it's safe for eating. So the first time I did use the frozen. Right now I'm going to be using some fresh. Same approach. I'm going to season it. The pound ended up being about 5 large pieces, but they will flake. And that's okay, because you're going to be eating all of this. And so it's okay if the pieces flake apart. So I've got some salt, got some pepper, and that I'm just going to use my hands. We're going to nestle the fish right in there.
Are you adding the beans?
But I added the beans already, I'm sorry.
You can add the fish?
No, you cannot add the fish. But you can add some basil.
Hey,
Do you want to add some basil?
Mom, I'm telling you something right now. If you do that again, get all the beans in the pot. I'll call the police. Okay, I'm calling the police right now.
He's gonna call the police right now. It's my life. Jeez, going to cover it up with some of this delicious sauce, just to get it all in there. And then I'm going to cover this. And again, how long it goes is up to you, because the idea is to cook it until it's tender enough to flake apart. So that could go for a while. You could keep it on low and let it go slow for a long time. Just make sure that it's cooked to 130 degrees before you eat it. So let's cover this up. Gosh, it smells great. Again, add some Kalamata olives. You could add some capers. If you don't have green onions, you can start with onion. All right, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit.
Where's your lid?
I have my lid right here.
That's for the other
That's
pot.
not the lid for the pan. Forgot we had to start over. All right. Then ask me some questions while we're going, since I'm looking for a lid. No?
Just a lot of comments about how adorable our children are, and Leanne, Chaos Cooking with Katie.
It's true.
New name.
Okay. You can't take out the cocktail part, Leanne. That's the most important part. And speaking of, I haven't done nearly enough drinking during this recipe. Okay. One of the things that I did have prepared just in case was some chicken stock or some broth, just in case the tomatoes weren't as juicy as I thought they were going to be, just in case you needed something to have more braising liquid. I didn't need it, so I'll save it for something else, but something that we use a lot is this Better Than Bouillon, and you keep it in the fridge, and you just, for 1 8-ounce serving, you use 1 teaspoon and add some boiling water. But again, I didn't need it. And really, quite honestly, if I needed more liquid, I might have just added more wine.
Question, when does the basil go in?
So basil is going to go in as a garnish, because some of my Italian seasoning already had basil in it. But you know what? We could add some right now. You certainly could add some right now. It has the spinach in there. It has some Italian seasoning. I was thinking of having some of the dark green parts of the scallion / green onion / spring onion. The dark green parts as also some garnish. But why not? We'll add some fresh basil right now. And I do have my trusty little thermometer to test the temperature of the fish. So here's some fresh basil. We're also going to add a little bit of lemon juice to the fish when it's all cooked, just to add some brightness, as they say in the biz. And I'm rolling up all, kind of placing all the leaves together and rolling it up, and then just slicing it julienne. Right. And sure, I'll add some right now. It's a good suggestion, thank you. The Italian seasoning had some in there, but fresh is always fantastic. I don't know if you can get a good look of this. The fish is all, the cod's all nestled down in there, and
oh yeah, did you post that that time lapse video of your shopping?
I did, yeah. Of shopping at Sprouts today. My husband Ben met me and we went shopping together. Should I refer to you as my husband or my production guy? I don't know if you're both.
I needed a new title anyway. It was about that time.
But this is a great idea for Mother's Day. In case you're thinking of some things that you can be making for Mom, along with your homemade cards and some flowers that you go out and pick. Also, something really cool, Jola Winery and Vineyards, they're having a special Mother's Day promotion on their bubbles. So if your mom is a fan of sparkling, of bubbles, Beach Bubbles and Twinkles are 2 of the bubbles at Jola Winery and Vineyards, and they're fantastic. So they have a Mother's Day promotion going with that. And they also have Mother's Day take-home meals, like to-go meals. So that's always an option for you too. You know, if you don't feel like you can attempt this, although it's so easy. Braising is so easy.
One more time, what wine is it that you're drinking?
So this is Jolo Winery and Vineyards, the Golden Hallows. And, I would say it's along the lines of a Pinot Grigio. It's light, it's crisp, it's refreshing, and I thought that it would be perfect in this dish because I would choose to drink it if I were when I'm eating this. So I just thought I know you're supposed to cook with the wine that you would drink, something fantastic that you would drink, and so it works.
So your co-host or one of your co-hosts, Jason Goodman, is on here, and he finally joined us like at the end of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Is
he's
he-
watching from the beach.
Does he have anything to say?
He said,
Don't
from the
critique
beach,
my
watching
kitchen.
you cook.
Don't critique my kitchen. I know
Yeah.
he will. He'll have something to say. I cleaned up this area for you. He had something to say about that the first couple times. All right, so anyway, we're gonna let this braise, and it's a super easy recipe for you to make for your mother for Mother's Day. It's fantastic. You will know when the fish is done, when it reaches 130 degrees. But right now, we're just gonna let it go low and slow. We're gonna go ahead and toast some of our delicious crusty bread. You could serve it over rice, you could serve it over noodles, you could serve it alongside of some vegetables. But before we go, I want to remind you that Sprouts wants to give one of you guys a $25 gift certificate to shop for all of these ingredients for Mother's Day. And so, Leanne Callahan, congratulations, $25 to Sprouts Farmers Market is yours. Thank you guys for tuning in to the most chaotic episode we have had of Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail. You see what my life is really like. Cheers and happy Mother's Day.